Where do we start today, guys? Oh my God. So frustrated. I think that might be one of the most frustrating games I've watched in a good while. I think it's the worst one this season for me. I'm not saying the performance was the worst. I'm not saying the result was the worst. I'm saying in terms of just my feelings watching the display, the actual game itself was so frustrating. I'm going to start off by saying fair play to Aston Villa because they have really done us over, and beating City as well, obviously, which helped us. But City and Arsenal in a row, 15 home game wins in a row. That is incredible form. They are now just, 1 point behind us? We can see the table down here. I mean, wow, Villa. Just, I know a lot of non-Arsenal fans will be saying Emery's better than Arteta. Why would you let go of Emery? And Arsenal fans will tell you, you would have seen it. If you were an Arsenal fan at the time, you would have seen it. It wasn't working. It was horrendous, conceding 35 shots to Watford at home. Like, it didn't work, but he's gone on to Villa. He obviously went back to Spain. And look, let's face it, he has had an incredible career. There's no doubt about it, but Arsenal clearly needed a full reset and a manager that would take us while we were so deep in trouble and help build us over time. And Arteta was just the right man for the job. But there's no doubt about it. Unai Emery was all over us today. He dropped an absolute masterclass. Obviously, it's Operation Arsenal, but I said I'd talk about Villa. We do need to discuss a couple of their players because, wow. Douglas Luiz in midfield, linked with Arsenal, funnily enough, but also I'm sure many other clubs would love to have him. McGinn, I mean, honestly, I know he's not the most aesthetically pleasing footballer, but he's so efficient. He's brilliant. He really is. Kamara and Douglas Luiz, that pivot with Tielemans dropping in or going forward, Bailey or Diaby down the right, Watkins up front. I mean, honestly, incredible. But Torres and Diego Carlos, we talk about Saliba and Gabriel. We talk about Van Dijk and whoever, maybe Konate recently. These are like the elite defenders in our league, right? We need to talk about Diego Carlos and Torres and the amount of offsides that Aston Villa are able to, effectively force onto you. The amount of times you're in behind offside. Every single time it feels like they are absolute masters at that. And that takes practice on the training pitch. That takes a lot of skill. So, honestly, full credit to them. I don't think Aston Villa deserved to not win today. They were absolutely well within their rights to win this game 1-0. Now, let's talk about Arsenal. The lineup. Nothing wrong with that. I fully believed in the lineup. I've got to say, I was half expecting maybe Trossard ahead of Havertz. I don't know. Havertz has been really good of late, and actually today he was one of our best players. Again, had a goal ruled out. Oh, I don't even know where to begin with that one. Declan Rice, again, was very solid for us, and Saliba, brilliant. Everyone else was poor today. Saka didn't have a good game, and you can see it was getting to him at the end. He didn't look fit, actually, and I'm not sure what's gone on there. He looked tired, but he's getting double marked. He's getting kicked. He's getting booed because he's being kicked. Literally a rake down the back of his Achilles. Boo! Like, what do you want him to do? Just pretend it didn't happen? He's just had a bunch of studs, metal/plastic studs, raked down the back of his leg. Do you want him to just pretend nothing happened? Like, I get it. And Arsenal have a reputation of having players like that who go down easily, roll around a bit. Jesus with the penalty also made a meal out of it, which is another thing we need to talk about. So I get it. I do. I didn't like the Martinelli sub. I wanted Trossard to come on, but I would have actually taken off Ødegaard. No joke. I thought Ødegaard was way off it today. He had some really big chances that he should have been putting away. Zinchenko, at times brilliant, at times awful. There's never an in-between with Zinchenko. He's really good at connecting our defence in midfield and our attack. Like, he is kind of the main link, and I just feel like sometimes we rely on it too much. And also, I think he overdoes it. I actually think it's almost like he's trying too hard, but that's just observing it on TV. Of course, in terms of the instructions that the coaches have given him and how he feels like he needs to play during the game. That's up to them, isn't it? It's just, I do wonder if sometimes if he was a little bit more defensively disciplined. I mean, the first goal of the game, well, the only goal of the game, comes down his side. Ben White doesn't defend it well. I thought Ben White was off it. Hasn't been on it for a little while now. Let's have a look at the stats before I go on into VAR and the penalty. There is one clear winner here stats-wise, but of course it means absolutely nothing if you're not clinical. It felt like, honestly, the first half we weren't awful. I wouldn't even say we were awful in the second half either, but it just felt like they had one chance and took it. Yes, they had some other opportunities, but we've had so many more chances than them tonight. So many more big moments in the game where on another day we score and we're fine. Honestly, we could have easily won this game 3-1, 4-1. I really, truly believe that. But of course, it doesn't work like that. It's whoever can actually put the ball in the back of the net. Excuse me for being a bit Michael Owen with it, but it is just true. So I don't want to do this, but I'm so frustrated, and I feel like if I talk about it, it will help. Welcome to my therapy session, guys. VAR, and I did a full dedicated video on it a week or two ago. I absolutely despise what it's doing to the game. It's ruining the game for me. For me, this is my personal opinion. I just hate it. The goal that got ruled out at the end. So for those of you who haven't seen it, the ball's gone into the box. Havertz is there alongside Cash. And it's effectively, you've played pinball, right? The ball literally goes in between them and it's doing this. It's bouncing off limbs, chests, like stomach, and eventually Havertz tucks it in. I've watched it back 2 or 3 times now, and I'm fairly convinced both of them have absolutely, inadvertently, it's not on purpose, have touched the ball with their arms. And actually, I would say it's hit Cash on the arm first. But guess what VAR sees? They see an Arsenal player scoring, therefore the goal cannot stand. Okay, it's hit Havertz on the hand, on the arm, whatever. I can get behind that. So then what's the next protocol? Was there a handball before the goal action? Yes, Havertz, it has hit him, I think, twice on the arm. But what's that? Oh, it hit Cash on the arm before all of that. So that's the first offence, right? Where's the penalty? Is one handball more important than the other? Just because it ended with the goal, does that mean it's just not a goal and you give a free kick to Aston Villa? That's what they did. I'm still very confused. And if you just take away the actual decision making, okay, the actual goal being ruled off, I'm okay with it. Okay, it's a handball, fine. But it's the fact that we have to just critique we have to zoom in and recreate in 3D, and it's just too much. It is too much. Both players have jumped up for the ball. It has bounced between them multiple times, and it has hit both players on the arm. It's gone into the back of the net. It's just a goal. It's just a goal. And without VAR, these moments, whilst they might be fair or not, are just part of the game. It's part of the human emotion watching the game, seeing those moments happen. Whether you're a Villa fan or an Arsenal fan, you're going to react differently, obviously. But that's the joy of the game. And yes, it sucks that it's cost us a point. I'm finding it so hard to get my point across. What I'm trying to say is, I don't like the process, and I don't like that we have to go through everything to such small it's such a small margin, and they've both committed the same offence. Just stop doing. I'm so bored of it. I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. Even if there was no VAR and the referee blew his whistle and ruled it out, I would take it. I would accept it. I'd be upset with it. But it's just the fact that someone is sitting in front of a screen re-refereeing and seeing multiple offences and choosing which one's worse. It doesn't work like that's not fact. The fact is, and if you watch it yourself, maybe you'll agree, maybe you'll disagree. The first offence is from Cash. So therefore, it's a penalty. And we go on to potentially score that and we equalise. Happy days. It just sucks that VAR is there. I don't care if it's how we use it, if it's the people using it. It's just the fact it's there for me. I just hate it. I really, really hate it. Go and watch Roy Hodgson's interview after the Crystal Palace game today. He nails it. The guy is coming to the end of his career. He knows it. And he's just saying, I'm not going to miss this. Crystal Palace were so good today. They deserved so much more than they got. Liverpool, very lucky. They've had their fair share of bad decisions. I understand that. But to see Roy Hodgson, a guy who's been in the game for decades, literally decades, longer than most of us have even been on this planet, he's feeling so down and gutted about the way football is going. And VAR is a massive part of that. The way the referees are so... Oh, they are the star of the show. Referees are football now. Do you know what really sucks? Okay, we're looking at a multi-billion pound industry. Hundreds of billions of pounds in this industry. Yet everything is decided by 20 guys up in Manchester because they happen to have the whistle and they have the monitors and the mics. The penalty. Soft, okay? And for those of you who haven't seen it, Jesus and I think it's Diego Carlos, both going up for the ball. Or is it? No, it might be Luis, actually. Sorry. Both going up, challenging up for the ball. The ball is just above leg height if you were to karate kick. Jesus has got there first, and Douglas Luiz has kicked through Jesus' leg. Literally smacked his leg. Now, it's soft, but I mean, I've just... Go and watch the Liverpool game today. The exact type of scenario has happened where a leg has been kicked through and they're given a penalty. Liverpool are given the penalty. Why don't we get the penalty? I just don't understand. It was literally 4 hours prior. 3 hours ago. I mean, the exact same situation where you've got two players going for the ball. One player, the defender, has kicked through the attacker's leg. One's a penalty and one isn't. And it just doesn't make sense, especially when it's going to VAR and they can literally sit here like I am now, zooming in. I'm just wondering what's going on. It doesn't make any sense. Let's get to your comments. The inconsistency of VAR is disgusting. How on earth does Palace get a pen 3 hours earlier, but Arsenal don't get a pen for the same thing? You could argue that the ball is in the air and it's more of a 50-50, and I can understand that argument, but the principle is the same. And anywhere else on the pitch, they'd give a foul for that. Why not in the box? Oh, because it's a penalty for Arsenal. I guess so. Zinchenko plays so slow. Agreed, he slows us down at times. We were robbed. VAR is inconsistent. Should have been a penalty on Jesus. Need a new target striker for me. Jesus isn't the one. On another day, we would win that 3, maybe 4-1. I mean, he's not wrong. Zinchenko is such a gifted footballer, but I do wonder at times if we would be better off with someone else in that left central midfield role and having just a proper left back. I know that would mean sacrificing Havertz or whatever, but I do wonder sometimes if it's just... this system relies on him so heavily. Really poor finishing tonight. Felt like no matter what we did, the last touch just went wrong. Yeah, Ødegaard should have scored twice today. Not sure about the handball, but it's one of those games you expect to lose 1-0 on to Brighton next week. And then Austin says, most frustrating game of the season. Agreed. We dominated this game, but we couldn't finish. Really hope Arteta understands we need to buy a real striker. The amount we passed backwards like we had won. Saliba and Havertz the only ones who can hold their heads up high today. I'm so frustrated. I really am. The reality is, okay, it's a game that you just move on from, and we go to Brighton and we try and get a win there instead. It is away, right? I think it's at home. We've lost 2 games this season in the Prem. It's not the worst, but Liverpool now go top. They stay top, I should say. We should be on 39 points. I mean, I'm sorry to go on. I've almost talked for 15 minutes now, but I don't want to be sat after a game feeling like this. I don't mind losing. Look, I'm an Arsenal fan since the days of watching my team go unbeaten and win a golden Premier League trophy, getting to the final of the Champions League, winning FA Cups. Look, I've been there and done that. I've enjoyed a lot of success with my club, which, by the way, I supported before that happened. But I've also experienced a lot of lows. It has been 2 decades since those times. Okay. I've watched Arsenal go through generations of players, it feels like. We've lost a lot of games. We've had a lot of tough times. I am fully aware that you can't win every game. I'm fully aware that you're going to lose games and have that bad taste after the game, feeling like you should have won, or why aren't the players performing today? Why did this player do this? Why did the manager do this? I'm totally aware, okay? But this is a new feeling, and it's only in the last 3-4 years, especially and specifically this season so far, the way that VAR is interrupting and, let's face it, re-refereeing football. It leaves the worst taste I've ever had after watching football matches. It's not even just for Arsenal games, it's all games. Every single game, there's an argument about VAR. There's an argument about decisions, about the referees. And yes, it was a thing before where everyone would talk about the referee after the game. But don't you just miss going, well, he is just one guy. It is just human error. Like, he hasn't seen it, or he's just made the wrong call. And you kind of just moved on. Yes, it sucked. It stank. But just the fact that you've got people that are actually capable of watching the monitor, watching replays, and talking to the referee, it ain't right. It just isn't. The game is very, very rapidly going downhill from a refereeing perspective. And I'm not so sure if this is where we're going. It's what I want to watch. And that's really sad for me because, I'm going through a tough time at the moment. Most of you will know if you watched my channel update. The one thing I do have still that I really look forward to is the football. It's been a part of my life since I was very young. I absolutely love watching football. It's my absolute favourite thing to do. I love it. And I'm watching a match like that where, okay, we've lost, and I can accept that, but it's just this feeling of being, well, cheated. This feeling of having some random guy make a decision that you don't agree with, that's had the fortune of watching replays that you've seen as well, yet still getting the decisions wrong. It leaves a really sour taste. I'm not enjoying football at the moment. I'm absolutely in love with this Arsenal squad. I love what we're building. I love the players we've got. But watching a game like that against Villa, who, again, I want to reiterate, they didn't deserve not to win, okay? That they absolutely deserved something from this game. And if that's a win, fair enough. It's just, I don't feel like Arsenal lost this game. I feel like we weren't given a chance in the start from the start. It was never going to happen. We weren't good enough in front of goal. I understand that, but the moments where, when you should probably get a penalty, or the goal probably should stand. But anyway, it's not just this game. It's all football. Oh, it's depressing. It really is. If I could, I would just absolutely wipe VAR off the planet. I've had enough. I've had enough of it. I'll see you in the next one. We're playing midweek, right? We've got a Champions League game coming up, and then Brighton. Let me just double check before we go. Fixtures. Yeah, we've got PSV on Tuesday, which is a free hit. We've already qualified. So, yeah, just rotate heavily. I'm expecting at least half the first team to be fully rested for the Brighton game. And then to Anfield. Oh, great.